All right, welcome everyone. Again, my name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner for the city of Cincinnati. And just so everyone knows, this is being recorded and streamed, so the public can observe if they would like. I'm going to go ahead and start just to everyone checked in. So we have Charles Meyer, present, and Mr. Meyer, you're the applicant on this application, is that right?
I'm sorry.
Are you the applicant?
No, I am the project architect. The application was made by me, yes.
Okay.
But not,
Yeah,
I'm just your project architect.
Semantics, applicant, architect. And then, sir, in the back.
My name is Gary Frank, Franke. I'm a counsel. And
Counsel for whom?
for the applicant.
By applicant, do you need Mr. Meyer or do you need Mr. Town Cower?
I would say the people that own the restaurant. It's Kumar is my client, Darshan Kumar, and I think that's the gentleman you're talking about is his partner.
Got it. Okay. So your client is a partial owner of the property.
Yes,
Right? Okay.
yes.
His name is, did you spell his name?
Darshan Kumar. Let's see. Trying to spell it correctly. Darshan. Last name Kumar.
Okay, great.
He generally goes by Kumar, Your Honor.
Got it. Okay. Thanks, Mr. Frank. Are we expecting anyone else to join us here today on the applicant owner side, outside of it, the owner can make it here with the traffic conditions?
The owner only.
Okay,
Don't want to miss that.
okay, great. And again, for the record, we have Matt Bashai here, who is a plans examiner from the city of Cincinnati. Okay, before we get started, I'm going to read you the hearing script. This will basically just cover the procedure for the hearing. And then we'll get started. So this is the, April 10th, 2024 session of the zoning hearing examiner docket. Again, my name is David Sturkey. I'm the zoning hearing examiner. Case before us today is case number ZH20240026. That's 3201 Jefferson Avenue. The purpose of this hearing is to allow applicants and any potential opposing parties to testify and to offer and refute evidence and testimony. This hearing will follow the rules found in the zoning code and the supplemental rules of the zoning hearing examiner. All testimony and evidence that an applicant or any potential opposing party wishes to offer must be presented at this hearing. The hearing will proceed as follows. The applicant, the applicant's attorney, or the applicant's agent will first present the applicant's case. So for our purposes here today, I'll allow Mr. Meyer and Mr. Frank, to the extent he would like to participate, to speak during that portion of this hearing. Mr. Meyer, I know you've been through this before, but generally I'd like to hear some background, what exactly the plans are, what the relief is that you're requesting, and why I should grant the relief ultimately. And anything else you would like to share that you believe is an important part of this application. Now, you all can orient that presentation however you like. One of you can speak, both of you can speak. It's really up to you how you'd like to communicate that information to me or any other information, but I'll allow for you to both sort of jointly tell me about the project if you would like.
Okay. And I'll probably do all of it because Mr. Frank is.
Do you have a question? Because I need to keep reading through this before we get started. Do you have a question about anything I've said already?
I have no questions.
Okay, so just give me one more minute and I'll get into it. So after the applicant has had an opportunity to present its case, I'll then move, if we did have anyone from the public or if anyone from the public does join us during the hearing, they will then have an opportunity to speak after the applicant has presented its case. I'll then move to Mr. Lashad from the zoning department to provide any testimony that he would like to add to the staff report that is already part of the record and submitted. In the event that any party testifies or offers argument in opposition to this application, the applicant will have an opportunity to rebut that testimony or respond to that testimony that's been offered in opposition. And then finally, the applicant will have an opportunity to make any closing statements. After all presentations have been made, I will close the hearing. Decisions may be expected within 2 weeks. Excuse me. I may limit or exclude any testimony that I deem irrelevant or outside the scope of the application being considered. I may interrupt any speaker to ask questions or to make any comments. And that's it. So, at this time, I'm going to swear in all of our witnesses. So if you intend on providing any testimony, making any comments, asking any questions, and you are not an attorney, then the zoning code requires that I swear you in. So if that's you, if you could raise your right hand now. Need you to answer out loud. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Mr. Meyer, I assume you're going to take the lead on the presentation? Yeah,
Ready?
yes, right, or yours.
Okay. Our request before this board today is we had three, in developing this project, we ended up with three areas of concern to the zoning department that had to have, is why we're here today for these variances. The first one was the front yard setback. In our development of the plans, the owner didn't want too large of a building, and we're working within the design that he wanted. We ended up with a piece of ground in the front of the building, which we have taken, created an outdoor dining area or a sitting area. The project itself is going to be primarily a carry-out business. There's limited seating on the inside, and then there's some limited seating outside, but it was kind of a carry-out nature. The front, where the front yard setbacks required, we thought because of the location of that particular building at the corner of Jefferson and Dixon Avenue, it was kind of a lot of pedestrian traffic because of the university nearby and the federal building nearby, and also the additional businesses along Jefferson Avenue. And the properties along Nixon are residential in nature. So there could be a lot of pedestrian traffic along the sidewalks. So that having an excess space in the front looked ideal for making a sit down kind of a dining area. Then maybe it'd be nothing more of it for people drinking coffee, I don't know. But that particular space is going to have some additional lighting. It'll have obviously some flowering arrangements and so forth to spruce it up. And so that we felt that would be a very nice thing to do for the neighborhood. The second part of the variance request is for the second part. And because of being an outdoor dining area, and we're right there at the corner, within across the street, the zone changes for the medical, the federal building and the I think the university owns some property over there. The zone change was there. We're currently in a zone CMN, and that would allow the seating, but the adjacent within 100, with less than 100 feet away, is a different zone. So that required an additional variance for the use of that space in the front for sit-down dining. And also, I don't want to use the word amusement because it's not going to be for that, but it is for people to sit. So the second part of the variance request is that dining space in the front. And as I said, we put that there just to kind of address the neighborhood and get some people walking by and traffic and so forth. So, the third item was parking. Parking on the face of it is difficult. Just the area along. Sure. Thank you. The area along Jefferson has some limited street parking, not much because other businesses along there are using that parking. The space along the south edge of our development site has room for, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 cars there. If that spaces were dedicated to the development of the site. On the opposite side of the street, the south side of Nixon, there's some unregulated parking over there, but maybe 4 to 5 cars. But we didn't want to depend on those as the it's having parking every day because again, it's unregulated, so anybody can park there. So the owner, Mr. Kumar, has met with a neighboring business that has parking and is contracted with this particular person to allow him to use some of their parking to make up the difference between what could be on the street and also what can be off-street parking. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Kumar is not here, and he was going to bring. You didn't bring the contract with you, did you? There he is. This is the owner.
Sir, yeah, want to have a seat. Welcome. My name's David Serkey. I'm the zoning board examiner and presiding over this hearing. We are in progress. So if you could just state your name for the record and how you're associated with this application.
Darshan Kumar, I'm an LLC member of the 32 Jefferson LLC.
Great. And your attorney here, Mr. Frank, said that you are comfortable going by Kumar. Is that right? You're comfortable being referred to as Kumar? Just simply
Yeah,
Kumar?
that's
Okay. All right, just want you. All right, Mr. Myers, in the process of telling us a little bit more about the project. Just talk about parking.
I covered the first 2 items in the for the variance. The third item was parking, and Mr. Kumar now can provide the information, your contract dealings with the neighbor and so forth.
Yeah, we are taking a parking from the 32 of 15th Jefferson Avenue. It's Cactus Piers, there's a restaurant. They are signing us at 6 parking spots there.
You said Cactus Fair?
Yeah, Cactus Piers,
And how many spots are they giving you?
6.
Okay. And you have formalized that agreement in a written lease, is that correct?
Yeah, we already have it, just needed to be signed, change a couple of things with it.
Mr. Frank, did you want to weigh in on it?
Yeah, they're not giving them to them, they're leasing them from them for $1,500 a month. And we had sent over a lease and they asked us to make 3 minor changes last week. I was out of town, I just got back in town, so I'm gonna make the 3 changes and then we'll execute a lease. And they're renting 6 spaces.
Okay. Mr. Meyer,
Yes,
anything else you'd like to tell me about the application?
the building that's going to be put up is going to be, I think, will complement the neighborhood. They got to be a concrete foundation, a first floor, which will contain the lower level, which will be just nothing but storage for the business only. And the first floor, then street level, is the dining, the restaurant and outdoor dining. The second floor is a residential apartment. That apartment is set up to either as a single family of multiple people, or it could be rented out individual bedrooms just to students from UC. So that's a potential use of it there. The building is going to be, as I said, concrete foundation, and then there'll be wood frame for the first and second floor with vinyl siding. And the siding is proposed is actually, what I think would look nice here is a yellow. It was similar to this yellow in my portfolio here, and and they have to be agreeable with the owner. And but it's a lighter color. If it were to be anything else, it'd be a light, a green about the same tone as this, or maybe a blue, but it would be a light tone, not a bright, flashy building at all, but more to fit in with the rest, with the way the neighborhood is there. So I can't think of anything else to explain about it.
Sure, okay, thank you. I do have a couple questions, but Mr. Kumar, Mr. Frank would like to add anything. Now it's done. No? Okay. So the primary, complaint or pushback we get about these outdoor eating and drinking areas, near residential districts is just noise, adverse sonic impacts. So could you just, for the record, talk a little bit more about why you don't think that those adverse impacts will have, or those sonic impacts will have a negative effect on surrounding residential uses?
We are not doing alcohol drink there. We just soft drink and things like that.
Sure.
There is no music, no like weekend entertainment or anything like that. It's strictly for people to sit in, drink their coffee, eat their the food provided at the restaurant. So there's no noise should not be a problem there.
Gotcha. And pull this up, but just so I'm clear, the patio is going to be oriented towards what we're calling the front, right? So
It'll be elevated from where your marker is,
right.
level with the street there, coming
Right.
the upper part of the street.
So the nearest residences are here.
Those are all residences all the way down the street.
Okay. So they'll be on the other side of the building. So the building will be sort of a natural buffer from at least these residential areas.
There's quite a space between the building and the adjacent. We had to stay 10 feet over the property line. So there's an open area behind the building within his property. That's where the stairs will come down from the interior stairs, come down and exit into that open space. And then beyond that space, and do you have a picture of what that area looks like near that residential building? Oh, here we go. Good.
Sort of go down there.
Okay. Now, so then as you move the marker up to that white area,
Here?
just to the left now. Okay, that's a wall right there. And coming back down toward Nexon. There you can see the concrete block. That area will come out, and then the street will come down to meet with the back of the building, and which means then there's a few steps that'll come into an exterior area there where the garbage cans will be placed. I assume that because of the building codes, that wall right above your marker is actually the property line, and then we have a survey it was done to determine where that line is. That would be a new wall. I'm sorry, it'll be a small wall lowered to the ground because the building itself is going to be holding back that hill. One of the first things that will be done is the contractor is going to bring and clear that hillside away. That's going to expose a concrete retaining wall. And that's that white wall that you can see in that picture. That's a concrete retaining wall that runs from the end, that part right there, straight out to Jefferson Avenue. That wall was left there in place when they tore down the old building and to hold that parking lot beyond. That parking lot right there is being held up by that retaining wall. So an engineer will be brought in to examine that wall once that earth is moved out of the way and determine whether that wall is satisfactory enough to, we're not going to build on it, we're going to put another wall next to it, but whether that wall is suited for hold up that parking lot. And then, so there'd be some space then 10, probably maybe 20 feet between the back of the new building and that residential building there.
Okay.
The, and as you can see, that a lot of that's going to be taken away because the street level sidewalk right there is much lower than it is in the back. So that'll all be cleared away, and then on the north side, which is the right, that's going to be that'll be a new masonry wall that'll come up to above grade before the wood framing starts.
All right, I don't think that I have any other questions. Maybe one more question. What are the proposed hours of the restaurant?
Just 11 o'clock in the afternoon till 10 at night. It depends on how we get the student flow, what we should do. We're doing an authentic Indian restaurant, so it's not more than late, unless mostly carry out, things like that.
Okay. All right, I think that's all the questions I have for now. Mr. Rashad, I'll turn it over to you if you'd like to provide.
Sure. So the project is permitted by right with the exception of those 3 points that Mr. Meyer talked about. It's a commercial neighborhood mixed district, so restaurant, apartment is a perfectly normal use in that area. The variances and zoning relief requested, just quickly outline those. Front setback variance, the CNN district requires the building be between 0 feet and 12 feet from the front property line. The intent of that requirement is to promote a more pedestrian accessible environment where somebody walking on the sidewalk has a building right next to them. It does not want parking lots in between buildings and the sidewalk. I think that the proposed plan still meets the intent of that because there's a patio right there, something that somebody could walk right into. There's even a railing and a landscape bed there, so it still maintains that street wall. There's still physical element right along the sidewalk, so I think the proposed plan, although it's technically 6 feet away from that requirement, it meets the intent of that requirement, so we're supportive of that variance. Conditional use approval,
The entire 18 feet front setback on the patio.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's at an angle, so it varies, it's not exactly 18 feet, it becomes something maybe like 24 feet, but we measure the shortest distance is 18.
Gotcha.
So. And yeah, the whole width of the front is patio. Conditional use approval is required for outdoor eating and drinking areas when located within 100 feet of a residential district. You've got a single family district to the west down at Nixon and an institutional residential district to the south across Nixon. The IR district is the EPA federal building. It's a giant parking lot, so not bothering with that. The district to the west is on the other side of the building, as Mr. Meyer outlined. So the building will be a natural buffer, like you said, Mr. Streety, and yeah, there's no outdoor entertainment proposed, no music, no late hours or alcohol sales or anything like that. It sounds like it'll just be people, maybe a couple customers sitting, eating food. It would be pretty quiet. I don't see any concern with that, so we recommend approval of that. The parking variance, this one we talked a little bit more about, but I think it might be helpful if you pull up the street view again. The zoning code requires 13 parking spaces based on the size of the restaurant and 1 parking space for the apartment. Looking at that property and the slope, the topography, and how narrow it is, the lot would be impossible to develop if we required 14 parking spaces here. It sounds like the applicant is working on a lease agreement, which we would support, but ultimately this is an area with a lot of college students that walk. It sounds like a lot of your business will be carry out. So I don't think that 14 parking spaces would be necessary, and it would be impossible to develop the site if that was required. So for that reason, staff is supportive of the parking variance as well.
Yep, thanks, Matt. Is this within the neighborhood business district?
It is not, but it is within a half mile of a future BRT line.
So
I think
yeah, transportation.
a short one.
What's
The
that?
business district is short line more or less. But it's on the other side.
Gotcha. Okay, the reason I asked, just for the record, is there's some proposed zoning code reforms and legislation that's moving its way through the process right now that I think would make these parking requirements, null and void. So that's maybe something to think about as you're talking about reading the lease. I will, however, if, this is approved, need to, review the lease and approve the form of the lease, just generally. Make sure that it's.
Can you move your marker to the right, that, so we can, and move the picture too, please? Okay, now let's go back the other way then. And now, you can see that, the spaces I was talking about being undedicated on the other side of the street, there's about 5 cars could park over there. And for whatever reason, there's nothing there. Then okay, and then on his side, if you back up now, and see that part there, and then there's that strip right there, which is unregulated, which if they, it appears that some parking could be used along there too.
It looks like this is
This
actually,
is for
there's
restaurant.
no parking from this sign to the edge.
No, that
and
was a.
there's no parking from here to the intersection. That's probably a DOT thing for line of sight around turns, but why don't we, when we finish up, anything you'd like to say in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today? No? No?
I'm sorry.
Anything you'd like to say in closing or otherwise before we adjourn here today?
No, I think we've covered everything pretty well. I think it's the project itself and when in looking at the materials that Matt had put together, I've eaten at the old restaurant in the past when I worked for the city, and we'd go up there for dinner. And I never paid attention to what that looked like. And looking at this picture, I thought, man, what Mr. Kumar is proposing for this site is going to be a lot nicer looking than that old building that was there. But regardless, it's a narrow site. We're putting as much building on it as possible, and then we're going to provide a building that's going to look nice and be very accessible to the public, and then I believe it'll look nice for the neighborhood also.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Thank you, everyone, for your time and testimony coming down today. I have had a chance to review the application materials and the staff report. Based on that and based on the testimony that I've heard here today, I'm going to approve the application. I need to formalize that approval in a written decision. I mentioned at the beginning that typically takes about 2 weeks. As soon as I finish that, I typically will put it into a PDF and email it to everybody who's in the hearing here today. Mr. Meyer, is email an appropriate way to
Oh, yes,
get that decision to you?
that's fine.
Yeah, and once you have that, Matt can approve the zoning permitting on his end, and then hopefully you all can take the next steps. I will say, I am going to make a condition of that approval that a finalized lease is submitted to the law department for approval. I'll probably be the one that reviews it and approves it. But that will just be the last step before you can actually approve the permit. And as long as it is a legally enforceable lease that allows for 6 spaces, that there won't be any hold up there. Any questions about any of that right now?
I have no questions.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, let me go ahead and